for the Harwich Mariners.
Out in left field, Nate Eichhoff. In center field, Ben Norman. Out in right is Johnny Stanton. Third base, Aaron Schunk. At the middle of the infield, it's the newcomers. It's Ramon Garza and Brian Dempsey. Over at first base, Andre Lipsius. Behind home plate is Logan Driscoll. He's doing the catching for Will Matheson.
And the Anglers lineup goes as Blake Sable left field leading off. Greg Jones out of UNC Wilmington playing short. Out of first base, the UNC is Michael Bush. Torkelson in the cleanup spot this evening playing right. The DH, Colin Simpson batting fifth. Batting sixth is John Rave, the center fielder. And the seventh holds the catch out of Georgian Tech, Kyle McCann. Batting eighth, the second baseman, Jorge Arenas. And running at the bottom is the third baseman, Ben Ramirez. As I mentioned before, on the mound for the Harwich Mariners is Will Matheson out of Stanford.
Yeah, Matheson, you're going to look for a fastball in the mid to upper 80s from Matheson. He's going to pitch a cutter. His cutter is his big pitch. He throws it very effectively to right-handed hitters as it goes away from them. Let's see how he's able to do against the left-handed hitters. They usually are a little bit tougher for him because the cutter isn't quite as effective.
And leading things off from the left side is Blake Sable. Right lefty matchup, first pitch, just misses above the letters for ball one. And we're underway from White House Field, and what's a spectacular day on Cape Cod, temperature in the low 80s. Not a lot of wind blowing here today as the 1-0 pitch clips the outside corner for strike one. Canavan's back up at 1 ball and 1 strike. So the Harwich Mariners this season are 0-5 against the Chatham Anglers. Look to try to get a win today as these two teams will face off in the postseason. As the 1-1 pitch misses the outside edge, 2-1 is the count. Sable, left fielder out of USC. 2-1 pitch runs up and outside, 3-1 is the count. Sable this season is hitting .340 for the Chatham Anglers. He's played a lot of positions in the field too. He's played all 3 outfield positions. He's played the corner infield, first and third. And as caught as well as the 3-1 pitch is cut on and missed for strike one. Sable took a healthy cut on that one. Matheson, we mentioned before, is the star. He is 1-1 with a 3.8 ERA, making his 6th start for the Mariners. He's a two-way player. As the 3-2 pitch is a high pop-up out towards center field. The center fielder Norman going back to the warning track, just shy of the wall to make the grab out there. So Blake Sable puts a good piece of wood on that one, but hits it to the wrong part of the ballpark in the deepest part. And there's one out here in the top of the first.
Yeah, and Blake Sable's been someone who's hit very well against the Mariners coming into this season. He hit .400, and he shows a good bit of power in the first batter of the game against Will Matheson, hitting that ball probably 380-plus feet out towards deep center field.
And left side now is Greg Jones. Takes a first pitch low and outside for ball one. Greg Jones, the shortstop out of UNC Wilmington, is 7 for 13 with 2 stolen bases against the Mariners this season. 1-0 pitch is popped high in the air towards the left side of the infield. The shortstop Garza calls off the third baseman Schunk just on the outfield grass for the second out. So 2 up, 2 down so far for Will Matheson. He's looked excellent so far. This is Matheson's 2nd start against the Anglers. He pitched back on July 3rd here against Chatham. That was the 13-6 loss. That was the Fox Sports game. That was here. He went 4 innings, gave 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 of them earned, 2 walks, and 3 punch-outs. The Anglers put up a 6th spot in that game, really stretched things out. As he first pitch curveball to Michael Bush misses just a far bit too inside for ball one. And in that July 3rd game, Michael Bush had a home run he collected. That was his first game on Cape. 1-0 fastball outside corner for strike one. 1 ball, 1 strike to count. Nobody on, 2 outs, scoreless ball game. 1-1 for Masson. 2-seam fastball runs just a bit too far inside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Michael Bush, North Carolina, is hitting .301 this year. He's included 5 home runs and 13 runs driven in. And remember, he came up just early part of July. July 3rd was his first game. So he's been excellent at the plate as the 2-1 pitch misses upstairs. 3 balls and 1 strike is the count.
Michael Bush, somebody who's ranked quite highly by a lot of scouting services. Some people see him as a future first-round pick.
3-1 pitch is popped up and out of play behind the press box here. Count runs full. So 3 balls, 2 strikes to count with 2 outs. Nobody on here in the top of the first. Matheson looks to work a scoreless first inning The payoff pitch once more has popped up and out of play over, this time the first base, or the third base bleacher side. Count remains 3 balls and 2 strikes. Good crowd on hand tonight for this Cape League game. We saw probably back on July 3rd was probably the highest attendance here, as over 2,000 came out to support the Mariners and the Anglers as the 3-2 pitch. This is inside as Bush moves out of the way, works a 2-out walk, and he's on base for the first time in his first appearance. So a 2-out, still Bush over at first base. It is now a cleanup hitter out of Arizona State, the right fielder Spencer Torkelson. He hasn't faced the Mariners much at all this year, besides last game in Chatham. Again, he was back at Team USA, played the first 12 games on Cape Cod, and then took a leave of absence to go play for Team USA. As the first pitch, slider misses the outside edge. 1 ball, no strikes on Torkelson. And he's a guy that you don't want to fool around with. A lot of power in that bat. Unfortunately, he's 1 for 11 his last 3 games. 1-0 fastball outside edge for strike 1. 1 ball, 1 strike to count on the right fielder out of Arizona State. We've seen a couple of guys in Arizona State who have a lot of power. Carter Aldretti won the home run derby here. 1-1 to Torkelson is fouled back into the screen. Count moves to 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And I talked about Michael Bush being a big-time prospect for the MLB, and Spencer Torkelson is a similar story. Led all of college baseball in home runs with 25, had an OPS over 1,300. I mean, these are statistics that are almost unbeatable.
1-2 big bender curveball just misses a little too high. Count back at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And the other outstanding thing is he's doing it as a freshman, so he's not actually going to be a 2019 pick. He'll be in the 2020 draft.
So we might see him right back here next year on Cape Cod. See if he comes back to the Anglers. The 2-2 is cut on and missed. Torkelson goes down swinging as Masson strikes out to Torkelson to end the inning. And after the top of the first, scoreless ball game between the Mariners and the Anglers. Listen to Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
Mariners baseball is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare, quality hospitals, superior care. Curry College. For more information, visit www.curry.edu. And Chatham Bars Inn, a proud member of Leading Hotels of the World.
Bottom of the first inning from White House Field. I'm Thomason's alongside Austin Rooney as the Anglers left 1 on, and they topped the first after a 2-out walk by Michael Bush. Masson able to work out of the inning, and now on the mound for the Anglers is Tristan Inglis, but first we'll go through the defensive side for the Chatham Anglers.
Yeah, in left field is Sable, Rave in center, Torkelson in right, Ramirez over at third, Jones at shortstop, Arenas at second base, Bush at first. Behind the plate is McCann. He's doing the catching for Tristan English.
Going with the Mariners lineup now, back in center field, leading things off is Ben Norman. Batting second, Aaron Shunk, the third baseman out of Georgia. Batting third, the first baseman, Andre Lipsius. In the cleanup spot is Nate Eichhoff playing left field. Batting fifth, the catcher Logan Driscoll. In the sixth spot is Danny Casals, the DH. Batting seventh is Johnny Stan, the right fielder. And batting eighth, Brian Dempsey, the second baseman. Right at the bottom is Ramon Garza playing short. So a little bit of a different look of a lineup. We see Tanner Morris has the night off. A couple newcomers coming in. Bottom three guys all at it within this past week. First pitch at Norman Cece. Grounds one hard up the middle. Get through. Greg Jones trying to flash the speed there. The speedy shortstop just couldn't quite get a glove on it. And the first pitch, Ben Norman Cece puts it right back where it came from, up the middle. And he's aboard with his first base hit and the first hit for the Mariners.
It's great to see Ben Norman starting to hit the ball better. He now has a 4-game hit streak going, and he's reached base safely in now 6 consecutive. And his average continues to rise into the 200s.
So nobody out here. Man on first base is Ben Norman. And is now the third baseman, Aaron Shunke, out of Georgia. Righty matchup. First pitch fastball is at the knees for strike one. So Mariners looking to try to strike first in this ball game. We mentioned before the big innings for the Anglers have done the Mariners in, so why not try to get the lead early? And they've done that before as the 0-1 is chopped over towards third base. Ramirez back on a second, back over to first base, is in time. They go around the diamond, 5-4-3 double play. Ramirez to Arenas over to Bush at first base, and just like that, there are 2 outs in the inning, and there is nobody on as it wipes out the base runners they had.
Well, a great play by Arenas because the throw from Ramirez was not great. It was in the dirt, and Arenas actually had to pick the throw over at second base before turning and throwing it over to first base. So an outstanding job by the second baseman Arenas to be able to turn that double play.
First pitch to Andre Lipsius is cut on and missed for strike one. So Tristan English, he is the two-way player out of Georgia Tech on the mound for the Anglers. 0-1 offering to Lipsius, runs outside for ball one. English, Georgia Tech, he started as a catcher out of high school, was recruited as a catcher, and then had some arm problems, moved over to first base. He decided he didn't want to play catcher anymore. Wasn't really having a lot of fun back there as the 1-1 pitch is cut on a miss once again. 1-2 strikes is the count. He had some arm problems as well. Well, work through him, and now is back on the mound for the Yellow Jackets and the Anglers. 1-2 pitch. Lipsius is foul tipped in the mid of McCann, and Lipsius goes down swinging. So the double play helps wipe off the single that Norman had to start things off after the first inning. Scoreless ball game between the Mariners and the Anglers. Listen to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Top of the second inning, scoreless ball game as Will Masson is back on the hill. Face Simpson, Ray McCann, respectively for the Anglers. First pitch to Colin Simpson, misses the outside corner for ball one. Simpson, who has recorded a hit in 4 of his last 5 games, hitting .259 this year as the 1-0 pitch is a wave and a miss for strike one. Simpson sporting at a blue angler colored bat.
And you mentioned that he has hits in 4 of his last 5 games. I think more importantly, his average has shot up ever since July 10th.
1-1 pitch is a check swing from Simpson, but he's able to lay off the pitch on the outside edge. 2 balls, 1 strike to count on a left-hander DH out of Oklahoma State.
Just to give you an idea of what I mean by that, he had a 129 batting average back on July 10th. He now has a 260 batting average. He more than doubled his batting average over the past 2.5 weeks.
2-1 pitches in there for strike 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes is the count on left-hander. Matheson shakes it off. Driscoll comes set. The 2-2 offering. Pitches popped high in the air and out of play as Driscoll turned his head around very quickly but realized it was out of play. So they'll do it again at 2-2. Nobody on, nobody out in the top of the second. Scoreless ball game. Chatham still searching for their first base hit in this game. Well, the 2-2 pitch just misses the knees. Count runs full on Simpson. Simpson also has 4 home runs and 25 RBIs.
And all 4 home runs coming since July 15th.
3-2 pitches flown out high towards left center field. The center fielder Norman coming on, and the gap out there just again. Shot the warning track, and will be able to make the catch for the first out. So another hard hit ball off the bat of an angler hitter. But again, he just doesn't quite catch all of it, just get a little bit under it.
And Will Matheson has been working some very deep counts in the first inning and a third. He's pitched well, has not allowed a lot of base runners, but that pitch count is going to start to rise very quickly if these Chatham Anglers bats continue to work deep counts.
First pitch is on the outside corner to John Rave, and the only base runners allowed so far was the walk issued to Michael Bush with 2 outs in the first inning. As the 0-1 pitch, big bender in there at the knees for strike 2 on Rave, count is 0-2. Rave, who the last time he was at this field was for the All-Star game, went 2 for 4 with a run in that game as the 0-2 curveball bounces right off Matheson. It will kick over towards the shortstop area. But the shortstop Garza was playing up the middle as the ball would have been hit up there. And now Rave is on first base with 1 out.
Yeah, I think that it would have been better if Matheson had not gotten a piece of that ball, because I think there would have been a chance for Garza over at shortstop to make a play on it. If it had gotten by the mound, it looked like he was ranging over quite nicely towards second base, and he would have been able to make a play on that ball. But after deflected off of the foot of Matheson, it deflected between the shortstop Garza and the third baseman Shunk, and neither of them was going to be able to make a play on the ball and throw out Rave over at first.
I think he knew it too right away. You can see he was angry at himself on the mound for touching that ball, but he'll have to try to work through now. This Angler's bottom part of the order as the first pitch to Kyle McCann misses down and in for ball 1. McCann, who out of Georgia Tech, is doing the catching for his Georgia Tech teammate and Tristan English. Count is 1-0. Matheson comes set from the stretch. The 1-0. Pitches a slow chopper over towards the first baseman, Lipsius, who will take it himself and will step on the bag. Only play he really had with a slow chopper. And will record the out for the second out of the inning, and advancing towards second base now is Rave. So the Anglers will have a man in scoring position with 2 outs.
Yeah, Lipsius had no other play on that ball. It was, as you mentioned, a slow ground ball over towards first base. Lipsius could not have tried to charge and make a throw over towards second base. It would have been far too risky, and they probably would not have been able to get Rave going to second. So Lipsius had 1 play. It was the obvious play over at first base, and he made it, so they're 2 away.
With 2 outs, over at second base is John Rave. The Anglers looking to draw first blood in this ball game. It is a scoreless game here in the top of the second. 0-0. Righty-righty matchup. First pitch to Jorge Arenas misses down in the zone for ball 1. Arenas playing second base this evening out of Stetson. Of course, Stetson more well known for their pitching than their maybe fielding and hitting, but Arenas has found his way onto Cape Cod, native of Miami, Florida. 1-0 pitch hops into the dirt for ball 2. Driscoll able to slide the body over and block that one.
You mentioned the pitching from Stetson. The Mariners have their own pitcher from Stetson in Austin Wood, who's been making some starts recently.
Wood is the projected starter as of right now to go tomorrow, but that can change at any second. 2-0 pitch just misses the outside edge. 3-0.
It's also going to be interesting looking forward into the playoffs and seeing how are they going to be able to manage that starting rotation. The Mariners, of course, have Ricky DeVito. He's going to be going in that game 1, but beyond that, things are pretty much up in the air.
3-0 pitch. She has the green line, and Arenas pops it over towards the Anglers bench. Count is 3-1.
And Ricky DeVito has been very dominant throughout the entire season here on Cape Cod. He was dominant back at college in the Big East, was named the Big East Pitcher of the Year. And the Mariners have some other options than going into Games 2 and Games 3, whether they're going to go with Matheson, Poitamani, or somebody else.
And DeVito was named Pitcher of the Week in Week 6 here on Cape Cod. He definitely warranted as the 3-1 runs well. Outside for ball 4, Arenas able to work a walk. That is the second walk issued from Will Matheson this evening.
Yeah, his control has been a little bit up and down so far. He's thrown a total of 36 pitches, 19 strikes, 17 balls. So that's not a great ratio. You sort of want to be at least the 1.5 to 1 in terms of strikes to balls, preferably 2 to 1. So if you're close to that 1 to 1 ratio between strikes and balls, that's not ideal. But he hasn't run into any trouble yet. There still are runners on first and second with 2 outs, though.
First and second, 2 outs. Scoreless ball game is the first pitch to Ben Ramirez, the third baseman, is popped up out of play behind the press box. Count is 0-1. Will Matheson usually averages around 2 or 3 walks in around 5 innings he usually pitches. So that is something to keep an eye on. There is 2 walks in an inning and 2/3. Righty-lefty matchup. Ramirez comes. A 1 pitch is cut on and miss as quickly in the hole now is Ramirez. No balls and 2 strikes. Ramirez, of course, a teammate of Blake Sable back at USC. Sable's on deck. He's the leadoff hitter this evening. Usually we see John Rave up there or Greg Jones, but manager Tom Holliday switching things up and putting Sable at the leadoff spot and why not as the guy's batting .340.
And it's interesting for the final 3 games of the season because for both the Mariners and the Anglers and for that matter the YD Red Sox too, they all know their fate. The YD Red Sox have clinched first place, the Anglers have clinched second, and the Mariners have clinched third. So there isn't going to be any movement in the East Division.
1-2 pitch. Curveball just misses the outside edge. 2 balls, 2 strikes, the count on Ramirez.
And as a result, these 2 teams can try different things. They can give rests to some of their everyday players, let some of these newer players get a first look at the Cape League and sort of get to know the pitching so that when they need them come playoff time, they'll have some more options.
2-2 pitches flared out towards the third base dugout area, but it will find the seats down there just behind the dugout as third baseman Aaron Shunk raced over to give it a look, but ran out of room, so count remains at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Masson shakes off. Driscoll once more. Comes set from the stretch. The 2-2. Curveball is once more shot foul down the first base side.
And as I mentioned earlier, Matheson's pitch count just continues to rise all the way up to 42 pitches through an inning and 2/3. And if he's kept to that 85 pitch count or so, you're looking at probably four or 5 innings right now, unless he's able to, be a little bit more efficient in the upcoming innings. But still, he's avoided trouble.
The 2-2 with 2 outs. Cut on and miss. Fastball elevated up on the zone. Gets Ramirez swinging, and Masson records his second strikeout in 2 innings of work. As the Anglers strand 2 runners on after 1.5. Scoreless ball between the Mariners and the Anglers. Listen to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
Mariners Baseball is brought to you by Cape Cod Healthcare. Quality hospitals, superior care. Curry College. For more information, visit www.curry.edu. And Chatham Bars Inn, a proud member of leading hotels of the world.
Welcome back inside White House Field for the home half of the second inning. Scoreless ball game between the Chatham Anglers and the Harwich Mariners. First pitch to Nate Eichhoff is swung on and fouled out of play for strike one. Eichhoff playing left field again. Very similar to maybe Blake Sable for Chatham or Tristan English, a guy that can play a multitude of positions.
And that's going to be the biggest positive for Eichhoff moving in towards his professional career. The ability for him to play first base, second base, third base, left field, even center field and right field. He can play all around the diamond. It's quite impressive for somebody to be able to play all those positions.
1-1 pitch misses low and outside for ball two. 2 balls and 1 strike, the count on Eichhoff. Eichhoff hitting .221 this year. We've really seen that average has come way up after he started 0 for 28. As a 2-1 pitch clips the outside edge, 2-2 the count.
And that's going to become more valuable as we head into the next few years, especially with more players getting rest. And if you have somebody like that in the lineup who can play so many different positions, it's really helpful for a manager.
2-2 pitch is sliced out towards left field. A fly ball. The left fielder Slade Sable ranging over to his right to record the out. So Eichhoff, leadoff hitter, is retired as Tristan English has done a good job so far on the mound after getting off the single to Norman. He got a double play, a strikeout back in the first, and now a fly out to start the second. So now with 1 out, nobody on. Bottom of the second inning, scoreless ball game. It is the catcher Logan Driscoll, who after being red hot went 0 for 4 back and wide. He looks to re-jump, maybe reinvigorate himself here after the off day yesterday as he takes a first pitch fastball for strike one. That's a guy to watch at the plate right now, Logan Driscoll. He's really starting to put things together. A 1 pitch to Driscoll misses inside for ball one. 1 ball and 1 strike is the count. And Driscoll will play for the Bethesda Big Train last year in the Cal Ripken League, and they actually just won the Cal Ripken League this year. They are the champions in that league as the 1-1 pitch to Driscoll is bounced over towards the third baseman Ramirez. He leaps up in the air, sets his feet throw on a first, and Driscoll is retired. So 2 up, 2 down to start the second inning. As it is now the DH out of Maine, Danny Casals. And I guess you can say his former conference mate and Sean Newcomb, who played for Hartford, almost pitched a no-hitter for the Atlanta Braves. Newcomb was a 2014 first-round draft pick out of Hartford, University of Hartford in the American East. First pitch fastball to Casals, outside edge for strike one. And Newcomb, 8 2/3 innings scoreless, no-hit baseball, and gives up a hit, unfortunately. Or should be the first pitch missed for ball one. 1 ball and 1 strike is the count now. So Casals gets the night off at second base, is in the DH spot as he pushes this one over towards the first and second base. Sol gets past the second baseman and runs for a base hit. So Casals is on base for the first time in this evening's ball game in his first at AB. Mariners have a man on with 2 outs here in the bottom of the second.
Well, it's great to see Danny Casals get a base hit like that. As we've mentioned over the past few games, he struggled to be consistent at the plate over the past week and a half or so. So it's good to see now base hits in back-to-back games for him. See if he can start to catch fire.
First pitch to Johnny Stanton is just a slow bouncer over towards the pitcher English. A high throw over at first base, but doing his aerobics out there at first base is Michael Bush, able to stretch high in the air to make that grab. So that'll do it for us in the bottom of the second inning. After 2, scoreless ball between the Mariners and the Anglers. Listen to Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. And we'll go back inside White House Field for the top of the third inning as Will Masson's evening is done for the Mariners. He pitched 2 scoreless innings, and he only gave up 1 hit, no runs, of course, no earned, 2 walks, and 2 punch-outs. So it is now John Kleins, the newly added pitcher out of VMI. He was activated last game in YD, but was not asked to come into this ball game, and now is asked to keep things going at the pace it is right now. Scoreless game here in the top of the third. Klein's a left-hander out of VMI, as I mentioned before.
That's right. He also played this summer in the Cal Ripken Collegiate Baseball League for the FCA Braves, and he had an ERA a little over 4, and he pitched 26 2/3 innings of work. Started a couple of games, so we'll have to see how he's able to contribute here on Cape Cod.
First pitch, leadoff hitter Blake Sable has popped up in the air into foul ground. And Aaron Schunk records, are able to make the catch out there just over towards the coach's box in the third base area for the first out. So not a bad start for John Kleins to retire. Probably one of the best hitters in the Cape League on 1 pitch.
Well, yeah, it's definitely a positive for him to start out that way. And also, I'm thinking the Mariners will probably want to take him deep into this ball game because they want to rest some of their relievers and also give him a real look as to what he can do moving into the playoffs.
First pitch to Greg Jones is line slicing foul down there. Nice catch by a fan over there. I believe it's an adult running down the hill. Ball was tailing into him. Full speed, makes a catch down the hill. You heard it here first. Put that guy on SC Top 10. As the 0-1 pitch is on the outside edge again of Greg Jones. Count is quickly 0-2. 0-2 pitch to Jones. This is low and outside. Count is now 1-2.
I mentioned that he had a couple of starts back in the Cal Ripken League. He pitched 7 innings back on July 2nd, went an additional 5 on July 9th.
1-2 pitches swung on and missed. Greg Jones goes down swinging as there are now 2 outs here in the top of the third. Kleins was retired the first 2 hitters he has faced on the Cape.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised, again, mentioning that he has gone deep in a number of ball games, that we see him go 3-4 innings, and he's looked good to start things off on Cape Cod so far.
So now it's the 3-hole hitter Michael Bush, who reached on a walk his first time out. Lefty-lefty matchup. First pitch fastball at the knees for strike 1. And there's not a lot of left-handers down the bullpen. I would say Joe Lasor's a left-hander. Put him on his starting rotation now, and Kleins is another lefty specialist that can provide some support out of the bullpen. As the 0-1 pitch runs just a bit too far inside, count as 1 ball and 1 strike. The 1-1 pitch. This one's lined out towards the right center field gap. Will drop in for a base hit. Cutting it off is the right fielder Stan, heading towards second base is Bush. He dives in, throw is not in time. As Michael Bush is off for the second time this evening with 2 outs. He collects a double into the right center field gap and just being to throw in.
Well, it's the first real hit the Chatham Anglers have had this evening, as it's a ball that's roped out into the right center field gap, and a really solid piece of hitting from Michael Bush. And even though Johnny Stanton cuts that ball off pretty quickly and throws it back into second base, it's not quite in time to get the speedy Bush over at second.
So now with 2 down in this top of the third inning, scoreless ball game. The hit column is even at 2-2, as it is the ever-dangerous Spencer Torkelson, the right fielder out of Arizona State, who tries to drive in the first run for the Anglers this evening.
You mentioned Blake Sable, maybe one of the most dangerous hitters on Cape Cod. Well, I think Bush and Torkelson are even better. So, I mean, this is a really, really strong Anglers lineup, especially 1 through 4.
First pitch at the knees for strike 1 on Torkelson. Torkelson has a little bit of an open stance, and they'll come in to close it as the 0-1 pitch is fouled back into the screen. Count is quickly 0-2. That's how some guys will generate some power, almost like a Mark Teixeira type swing. Of course, Teixeira was a switch hitter, but a guy who started his stance very open and then coming to close it. And we talk about power. Teixeira and Torkelson, definitely 2 guys that have a lot of it. Teixeira, of course, played right here on the Cape for Orleans back in the late 90s. I believe we just missed Nomar Garcia Parra back in Orleans as the 0-2 pitch Runs up and out of the zone for ball one. 1 ball and 2 strikes is the count.
And I talked to a couple of people about their thoughts on Torkelson and where he may go in a couple of years. And the only question mark around Torkelson is how is his defense going to be? A lot of people are worried that he's only going to be somebody who's going to play at first base at the next level. So that is a little bit concerning for some teams, but the power is so good and the average is so solid that some teams are maybe willing to disregard that and pick him really, really high in the draft.
1-2 pitches scooped by the catcher. Driscoll, ball in the dirt, counts 2 balls and 2 strikes. And of course, he's only just finished his freshman year. He's still able to have another 2 years as the 2-2 pitches lined down the left field line as it hop into the corner down there towards the 330 sign. Easily coming around is Michael Bush. And stopping over at second base is Spencer Torkelson as the Anglers take a 1-0 lead over the Harwich Mariners here at the top of the 3rd inning.
And you can just see how the ball pops off his bat, and it's lined right down that left field line for extra bases. And Eichhoff had no chance at trying to get Torkelson over at second as it was an easy stand-up double. And Torkelson, again, he's just one of those players that has such elite power and such great contact as well.
I watched him during a batting practice today. I mean, he was putting solid wood on every single ball out towards the outfield area. He was putting on a show pretty much. There's now the DH Colin Simpson, lefty-lefty matchup, first pitch. And as they will skip in about a foot before home plate as the catcher Driscoll moves over to his left to make the catch. So both the pitcher and the catcher for the Mariners right now both played in the Cal Ripken League. We mentioned before the John Kleins played for the Herndon Braves, and of course I mentioned before also that Driscoll played for the Bethesda Big Train, who were the 2018 champs in the Cal Ripken League. One of those summer collegiate leagues. Says 1-0 curveball just misses a bit too far downstairs. Count is 2-0.
And we've mentioned how good these 1 through 4 hitters have been. You can't overlook Colin Simpson either. He's someone who had 18 home runs this past season over at Oklahoma State. So again, just outstanding numbers all around this Chatham order.
2-0 pitch. Can't quite get the outside black. Count is 3-0 on Colin Simpson. Simpson flew out back in the 2nd inning. Looks to try to reach base here or try to get a base in and maybe score Torkelson off of second base. His RBI doubles the difference so far as a 3-0 pitch is grounded sharply over towards his second baseman Dempsey. Sidearm throw over towards first base retires Colin Simpson, but the Anglers do strike first after an RBI double off the bat of Spencer Torkelson puts them ahead 1-0 after 2.5. Listen to Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Here in the top of the 3rd inning from White House Field is a 1-0 Anglers lead over the Mariners. Mariners try to tie things back up. Spencer Torkelson's RBI double down the left field line, able to score the first run for the Anglers. First pitch to the newly addition Harwich Mariner Brian Dempsey runs up and in for ball 1. So Dempsey out of Boston College, another one of those local kids. Of course, Chris Keller early in the year out of Boston College, but had to go home due to injury as the 1-0 pitch is fouled out of play over the first base bleachers. Count as 1 ball and 1 strike. Mariners so far, no runs on, 2 hits, no errors. As the 1-1 pitch is a wave and a miss for strike 2. Count as 1-2.
We mentioned players who were in the Cal Ripton League. Yet another one, Brian Dempsey, who hit .287 this past season for the DC Grays.
As the 1-2 pitch is shot right back up the middle on the ground for a base hit. And Brian Dempsey in his first at bat for the Harwich Mariners, able to get ahead and get things going here for the Mariners as the leadoff man is on here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. As now the number 9 hitter, Ramon Garza, out of Cornell, the shortstop this evening, will try to keep things going.
Yeah, not only that, going back to Brian Dempsey back at Boston College, he hit .396 over his past 20 games of the season, over the last 20 games of the season. So somebody who finished the collegiate season very well, went to the Cal Ripken League, played quite well there, and now is getting his opportunity on Cape Cod.
Righty matchup. First pitch to Garza, just misses for ball 1. Of course, one of the assistant coaches here, Coach Garza, is his brother, Ramon, so a little family relationship going on here on the Cape Cod as the 1-0 pitch is popped over towards the Anglers dugout, and the catcher, McCann, will make the grab just shy of the fence. So Garza pops out. And now with 1 out here, still over at first base is Brian Dempsey. As the top of the order comes back around is now Ben Norman, the center fielder out of Iowa. He started the home half of the first off with a single. As Tristan English will face him for the 2nd time this evening. Righty-lefty matchup. First pitch showing bunt is Norman. He squeezes this one, but he'll go foul. As it was a hard hit ball. So count as no balls and 1 strike. Going back to Tristan English, he was actually first team all ACC his first year over none other than former Harwich Mariner and former first-round draft pick Pavin Smith. And they used to joke about it over at first base. You know, Pavin knew to let him know. He said, "Hey, you got first team over me at first base, and I still think I'm the first team all ACC, but we'll talk about that later." As the 0-1 pitch misses outside for ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike is the count. Just the camaraderie that goes around from, back in ACC playing to up here on the Cape Cod. Guys become really good friends. As the 1-1 slider catches the outside edge for a strike 2. 1-2 the count now on Norman.
And oftentimes you'll see a lot of players from each individual team go to one specific Cape Cod team. A lot of times a specific Cape Cod team will have connections with the collegiate team, so that'll oftentimes have teammates stay together.
1-2 pitch, fastball, strike 3 call on the outside corner at the knees. And Norman goes down looking as the second punch out added to the name of Tristan English. So with 2 down, Dempsey still over on first base. 1-0 Anglers lead over the Harwich Mariners. So after Dempsey got on with the leadoff single, it's been a pop out and a strikeout. English trying to work out of this inning. And is now the third baseman Aaron Shunk, who bounced into double play his first time out. First pitch he sees, he fouls it off himself for strike 1. Shunk this year batting .293, a native of Decatur, Georgia. And Tristan English, a native of Williamson, Georgia. So a couple of Georgia guys going against each other. Of course, 2 rivalry schools in Georgia Tech and Georgia. 0-1 pitch to Shunk. This one is fired out towards shallow right center field. A drop in for a base hit. Dempsey thought about going towards third base. Will hold up there as the right fielder Torkelson was coming on very strong there and able to field the ball quickly enough. He bobbled out in the outfield, but nothing going there as the Mariners will have 2 men on with 2 outs in the bottom of the 3rd innings as they trail 1-0.
I think Dempsey may have slightly misread the ball. Also, if Torkelson had been able to field that ball cleanly, it may have been a very different story too. But since Torkelson wasn't able to field it cleanly, if Dempsey had gone right away, he would have been safe, but you can only know that in hindsight.
So a 2 down, 2 men on. It is The three-holder Andre Lipsy takes a big swing and a miss and an off-speed pitch in the dirt for strike one.
And also, of course, the most important thing is just make sure you're in scoring position. It's nice to be at third base, but generally with 2 outs, you don't want to run yourself into that third out. And if you get another base hit, it's pretty likely you'll be able to score from second base.
A 1 pitch to Lipsius, another off-speed pitch out of the zone for strike two. Lipsius is down in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Lipsius trying to end this inning here. After a single from Aaron Shuck made things a little bit more interesting here in this third inning. Mariners try to tie things back up. They trail 1-0. The 0-2 offering to Lipsius. Strike 3 call outside edge. Lipsius goes down on 3 pitches, and Tristan English records 2 punch outs in the inning as the Mariners will strand 2 men on, including Dempsey over at second base. So after 3, it is a 1-0 Anglers lead. Listen to Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
Top of the 4th inning from White House Field. Austin Rooney alongside Thomas Zinzarella as the Harwich Mariners trail the Chatham Anglers 1-0. Back out on the mound for his 2nd inning of work is John Kleins, the left-handed pitcher out of VMI. He's set to face off against the 6, 7, and 8 hitters for the Anglers, Rave, McCann, and Arenas. As the left-handed hitter Rave digs in, first pitch misses below the knees in the count 1-0. Mariners had a couple of base runners back in the bottom of the 3rd, were unable to cash in as the 1-0 pitch is cut on and grounded over towards first base. Lipsius fields, he'll step on the bag, and there's 1 away.
A nice little snag over there by Andre Lipsius as the second hop will almost eat you up, and kept in there, kept the glove right around the knee area. He'll make the nice play over there at first base.
And Kyle McCann, who is the catcher in tonight's ball game. He's 0 for 1 as he steps into the left-handed batter's box. First pitch from Kleins misses low in the count 1-0. Kleins had a very solid start to his first inning of work. He had a couple of quick outs from Sable and Jones, but then it was back-to-back doubles as the 1-0 pitch misses outside, count 2-0, to Michael Bush and Spencer Torkelson. You're not going to face off against a harder 3-4 duo probably in all of college baseball. You have somebody, Michael Bush, who's going to be a first-round pick next year likely, followed by Spencer Torkelson, who was almost winning the Golden Spikes Award as the 2-0 runs upstairs, count 3-0. And then, he was able to record the final out against Simpson. So the fact he allowed a run in his first inning, I don't think it's that big of a deal considering the guys he was facing off against. The 3-0 pitch is cut on and fouled off down the right field side towards the Chatham bullpen. Count 3-1.
Yeah, I know when you face such a potent offense such as the Anglers, you expect some things to go wrong, and just minimizing the damage here.
The 3-1 pitch, check swing. Does he go around? They say he does, as the count is now full on McCann. 1 out, base path's empty in the top of the 4th. A 1-0 Mariners lead, the 3-2 delivery. cut on a one-hopper over towards Lipsius. Nicely picked. He fields it, and he'll step on the bag, and they're 2 away. Nicely done by Lipsius over at first base.
Yeah, Andre Lipsius is putting on a clinic right now on how to field your position. Back-to-back scoops at first base. Nicely done there. Make it look easy, and those aren't tough plays at all.
And Jorge Arenas, the 8-hitter in the Chatham Anglers order, digs in from the right side. He walked his first time up. And the first pitch from Kleins. This is low in the dirt, and the count 1 ball and no strikes. Kleins comes set, the 1-0 offering. Swung on, a high chopper over towards short. Fielded by Garza. He'll throw across the diamond. It's in time to get Arenas. So a quick 1-2-3 inning work from John Kleins at the end of 3.5. It's the Mariners 0 and the Anglers 1. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Bottom of the 4th inning, a 1-0 Anglers lead as the Harwich Mariners have 4 hits, but they haven't been able to convert any of those hits into runs. Tristan English back out for his 4th inning of work for the Anglers. And Mariners have the 4, 5, and 6 hitters due up, Eichhoff, Driscoll, and Casals. First pitch from English. Fastball swung on, a high pop-up over towards the third base side and foul ground, ranging over and making the catch is Ben Ramirez. Very nicely done by Ramirez over at third base. That ball was falling quickly in foul ground, and he made a nice catch in foul territory.
Ramirez wears a nice glove over there at third base. We're watching him during infield, outfield, and BP. He was just everything inside, making some trick plays with the glove flips and everything.
And now the 5-hitter, the catcher Logan Driscoll, digs in from the left side. First pitch, fastball. This is just upstairs in the count, 1 ball and no strikes. We mentioned Logan Driscoll recently finding his stride at the plate as the 1-0 pitch is swung on. A 1-hopper over towards short. Arenas fields, throw to first. Not in time. Logan Driscoll works an infield hit on a 1-hopper over towards the second baseman, Arenas. It looked like it may have been headed up the middle, and the throw to first base was not quite in time to get the speedy Logan Driscoll, and you just don't see it all that frequently from catchers who have speed.
Well, but that's a big train there. Mascot is the train, and he's showing off his wheels down that first base line, just chugging along. And it was off the A. That looks like the hand, so it was a little bit of hard hit, but it was a kind of tough play for the second base at Arenas. He had to turn the body and throw over, but Logan Driscoll just really chugging down the line, able to beat the throw out. We've seen him show a lot of heart and hustle this season.
As his average continues to rise, the sixth hitter now, Danny Casal, steps in. First pitch swung on, and a high fly ball into right field. Torkelson ranges over and makes the catch for the second out of the inning. And now they're 2 away in the bottom of the fourth. 1-0 Anglers lead. They scored that run back in the top of the third. The Mariners have produced 5 hits in 3 2/3 innings, but the problem has been driving runs home yet again tonight.
Yeah, they've only left 2 on so far. It's just getting those base runners on, or excuse me, 3 guys on. Just trying to collect them all together. All those hits they have out hit the Anglers today.
And the first pitch to Johnny Stanton. It's in there for strike one, and the count 0-1 on the big right-handed hitter. The 0-1 delivery. Misses low, a check swing. He's able to hold up in the count, 1 ball and 1 strike.
It's all about Stanton seeing as many pitches as he can and really getting used to the wood bat and all such.
1-1 delivery, cut on and missed in the count 1-2. You mentioned it. A lot of these other newcomers have been playing in summer leagues, whether it be guys like Dempsey, who's on deck with a 1-2 pitch, swung on a high chopper over towards third field by Ramirez. Throw to first is offline, but it's in time. As Ramirez throws out Stanton over at first base, what I was saying beforehand was that a lot of times these guys who are newcomers on Cape Cod have played with the wooden bat earlier in the summer. For Stanton, though, he's just getting used to that wooden bat as he's been out for the last 3 months with a injury with his hand. So now just getting back into the swing of things for the Harwich Mariners. So that'll do it for the end of the fourth inning. It is a 1-0 Anglers lead. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Top of the fifth inning from White House Field, a 1-0 Anglers lead. Back out on the mound for his third inning of work is John Kleins. And it's the 9, 1, and 2 hitters due up for the Anglers, Ramirez, Sable, and Jones. First pitch misses upstairs and outside to Ramirez in the count 1-0. And one of the traditions that the Mariners have is towards the end of the season as the 1-0 pitch misses low, count 2-0. The head coach of the Harwich Mariners, Steve Englert, will pull out his jersey collection, and all the Mariners players will wear one of his unique professional jerseys that he has. And, I mean, there are a ton of them.
There's some gems in there. We're talking about, there's a New York Giants baseball jersey. We're going back like that far. Leo DeRoche. I mean, there's just a ton.
2-0 pitch misses outside, count 3-0. And you mentioned a ton of jerseys. Everybody from Pete Rose to I think it was Hank Aaron, everybody. As a 3-0 pitch misses low for ball 4 to Ramirez.
I mean, they're pulling out, Bo Jackson Royals jersey, a Bo Jackson Athletics jersey worn by Logan Driscoll, and then there's a Dave Winfield jersey. I mean, there are some really unique ones as well. I think I saw Will Clark, San Francisco Giants one. I don't know where you get one of those, but.
Runner on first base, no outs for the Anglers. And the first pitch misses just upstairs. He has to have at least 40 of them or so because he brings them all out. And, I mean, there's plenty for everybody. And in the Mariners roster, it's close to 30 players plus coaches and everybody. You know, you're getting close to 40 right there alone. You wonder how many extras he has on top of that. As the 1-0 pitch misses low into the dirt and the count 2-0.
I think the coolest one, too, was Coach Engler obviously used to coach at Boston College and had a Pete Frates Boston College jersey. For those of you who don't know who Pete Frates is, he played at college ball at Boston College, and then he's really the one that started the Ice Bucket Challenge and to strike out ALS and Lou Gehrig's disease. So it's really been a forefront in the Boston College community up here in the Northeast.
That's right. Also, Notre Dame recognized Pete Frates when Boston College played Notre Dame earlier this season. So the count, 2 balls and no strikes on Blake Sable after the infield had a meeting with John Kleins. 6 consecutive balls issued by Kleins with a runner on first base and no outs. The 2-0 delivery misses low in the count, 3 balls and no strikes. And it's an interesting sort of situation what we've seen happen with Kleins. Normally when a pitcher comes into the ball game, it'll sort of be an outing when you just don't have your stuff. But tonight, over the first 2 innings of work, he pitched a lot of strikes and worked a lot of outs as the 3-0 pitch is finally in there for strike 1 on Sable in the count 3-1. Runner on first base, no outs. 1-0 Anglers in the top of the 5th. 3-1. Misses outside for ball 4. And there are runners on first and second with no outs.
Yeah, it seems like Kleins has just lost the zone just a bit. We said before, back-to-back walks issued, and against this lineup, you would definitely want to minimize those walks because they can come back and hurt you any second with the amount of power and speed that the Anglers have. We talk about Sable. He's second in the league in steals. Only person he's behind is the man coming out to bat, and that's Greg Jones. That man can fly for sure.
Well, luckily for the Mariners, Sable will not really be able to steal second base because there's already a runner on second base and Ben Ramirez. They have to go with a double steal, but runners on first and second again and no outs. And there is a meeting at the mound once again. This time the pitching coach, Steve Gruenberg, is having a chat with the entire infield.
Just more, if anything in the gap, if it goes in for a double, we can see the Anglers take an extra base, whether it's Jones can take an extra base or if Sable can come around and score on a double in the gap.
Infield back at double play depth, no outs. 1-0 Anglers lead in the top of the 5th in game 42 of 44. As Greg Jones digs in from the right side, he squares around a bunt. He does bunt right back to the pitcher. Kleins looked at third, looked at second, then throws wildly towards first, and everybody's safe. And it's going to be a sac bunt for Jones, and then an error on the pitcher, Kleins. And it's an unfortunate thing because it's a bunt right back to the mound. As a result, Kleins looks over towards third base, thinks he may have a play to get the lead runner, Ramirez, realizes he doesn't, looks to second, doesn't have a play there either, then throws to first, and you think it would be an easy play, but with the speed of Jones, it was going to be somewhat close, and Kleins rushed the throw and threw it off line, so the bases are loaded with no outs, and it's the middle of the order with Bush and Torkelson coming up. First pitch to Bush, check swing, he goes around in the count 0-1.
I think the Mariners will be satisfied here if they can get a ground ball, turn a double play, and allow 1 run to score. I think they would be fine conceding a run and trying to get 2 outs and try to just minimize the damage. The big innings have been the Achilles heel this year against this Anglers team.
The 0-1 pitch misses low with the breaking ball. Count 1 ball and 1 strike. Warming up in the Harwich Mariners bullpen, Joe LaSorsa. As Kleins has worked 2 innings so far. And he's run into trouble in the top of the 5th with the bases loaded and no outs. The 1-1 delivery to Bush. Breaking ball misses outside in the count 2-1. And if there are 2 players in the lineup that Kleins would rather not see right now, it has to be Bush and Torkelson.
Well, it definitely does. I mean, just look at Torkelson's drove on the lone run so far, and Bush is 1 for 1 with a walk and a double.
The 2-1 pitch swung on a high chopper. Up the middle for a base hit, past the diving glove of Dempsey. 1 run scores, rounding second and coming home is Sable. It's a 2 RBI single off the bat of Michael Bush. He's 2 for 2 and on base for the 3rd time tonight. And the Anglers lead this ball game 3-0.
Well, that's what can happen when you walk a couple guys. Just a couple base hits can happen, especially against this dangerous Anglers lineup, and it turns into 2 runs off a single from Michael Bush, and Anglers looking to strike a couple more here with still nobody out.
Runners on the corners, nobody out. Spencer Torkelson, the right-handed hitter, steps in. The first pitch from Kleins misses outside, and the count 1 ball and no strikes. You have to wonder how long the leash is going to be on Kleins. As LaSorsa continues to warm up in the bullpen, the 1-0 pitch swung on a line drive into left field. A sliding catch made by Nate Eichhoff for the first out of the inning. Tagging and scoring from third base is Greg Jones, and the Chatham Anglers extend their lead to 4-0 in the top of the 5th.
And just a nice play out there by Nate Eichhoff, and just making sure that over at third base that Torkelson didn't leave early. He was awfully close, and just Shunk just wanted to make sure, and you have to call time and then throw the ball over towards third base, but the run will come into score, so now is a 4-0 lead.
You mentioned the big innings. 3 runs in already for the Chatham Anglers in the first pitch to Colin Simpson. It's in there for strike 1, so it's the first inning in which the Anglers have put up a crooked number tonight. And they're not done. There's just 1 out in the top of the 5th. The 0-1 pitch from Klein swung on a foul tip. Deflects off the mitt of Driscoll, and the count 0-2.
And that's why I mentioned before, I think the Mariners, with the bases loaded, would rather concede just 1 run and try to get 2 outs. And that bunt by Greg Jones so far has been a big difference.
And the 0-2 pitch to Simpson misses low and in the dirt, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes on the left-handed hitter. Kleins gets a sign from Driscoll. Bush leads off first with 1 out in the top of the 5th. A 4-0 Anglers lead. The 1-2 pitch, breaking ball misses low, and the count even at 2-2. Kleins comes set. The 2-2 pitch swung on a line drive through the right side for a base hit. Bush will round third and pull on the brakes, or I beg your pardon, round second and pull on the brakes. And the count, and not the count, the runner's on first and second with 1 out in the top of the 5th inning.
There's another base hit by the Anglers. They now are out hitting the Harwich Mariners, and they've been doing it in style, just collecting base hit after base hit after base hit as Coach Enger comes out now to talk to Driscoll and Kleins.
And he makes the motion over towards the Mariners bullpen. Joe LaSorsa will enter tonight's game in the top of the 5th. It's a 4-0 Anglers lead. We'll sort out the details when we come back. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Top of the 5th inning from White House Field, a 4-0 Anglers lead, and they're not done yet. Already put up 3 runs in the top of the 5th. They have runners on first and second with 1 out. New pitcher for the Harwich Mariners is Joe LaSorsa, and they'll start by taking on John Rave.
Yeah,
First pitch off the outside corner for strike 1.
LaSorsa, of course, out of St. John's, making his 12th appearance on this Cape League season, is 3-2. 6.53 ERA and 20 2/3 innings pitched, 21 punch-outs, 9 walks.
And the 0-1 delivery on the outside corner once again as Rave showed bunt and pulled back in the count 0-2. Over his last 2 appearances, though, LaSorsa has struggled. He's pitched 2 innings over the last 2 appearances and allowed 5 earned runs. LaSorsa comes set. The 0-2. Swung on and fouled off the toe of the catcher, Driscoll. And part of that toe is protected, but not all of it. And seems like he's limping around just a little bit. He'll be fine, and he will remain in the ball game.
And not the most pleasant spot to be hit off of, but he was wearing the Bo Jackson jersey, so Bo Jackson wouldn't back down from anything, and just as Logan Driscoll won't.
I'm not sure we will be seeing Logan Driscoll snapping bats over his knee, but I guess you never know as the 0-2 pitch is swung on and shot foul over towards the Anglers bullpen.
Well, that was over his head. He just put the bat on his head and just cracked it in half, or maybe he could run it over across the wall, maybe sideways, you know, crazy things. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to ask Logan Driscoll if, you know, him and, you know, Bo Jackson maybe share something in common. We have to do some research, get a research team on that.
Well, LaSorsa comes set. The 0-2. Swung on a foul tip off the equipment of Driscoll once again on the count 0-2. And now we take a look at the outing from John Kleins. The final line is not yet finished as he is still responsible for the runners on first and second. But so far, 2 1/3 innings of work, 4 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, 2 walks, and a strikeout. As the 0-2 pitch is swung on and chopped over towards second, on to short for 1, back on to first. Not in time to get the speedy John Rave. So runners on the corners now with 2 outs in the top of the 5th inning.
And we talk about how Rave, you know, usually hits around the 1 or 2 spot, but now down in the order a little bit to switch things up, and that's what can happen when you just put speed all over the lineup. As Tom Holliday has done, it makes it sometimes difficult to turn double plays. It's like the Mariners won the year if they put Chris Gowan like the 6th spot. It'd be awfully tough to try to combat that.
Runners on the corners with 2 outs. And the first pitch from LaSorsa misses low for ball 1. And Thomas, what were your thoughts tonight on Kleins? I know I just discussed it briefly, but you know he looked good in the first 2 innings, but it seems to be this 5th inning has been the issue.
Yeah, no, he looked sharp at times. He got the curveball really working ahead in some of the counts, attacking guys early.
1-0 pitch on the outside corner, count 1-1.
And that's, you know, I was talking with Danny Portamani about that, and obviously a D3 guy, and maybe some of these other small D1 pitchers. That's one thing you got to do here on the Cape, but that is attack some hitters early, especially this Chatham lineup.
1-1 delivery is cut on and missed from Kyle McCann, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes.
So whether you're going to attack him with a fastball or switch things up with the off-speed change-up curveball, I mean, that's why having the more pitches, you know, the better that you can to keep hitters off balance.
The 1-2 pitch swung on and missed, struck him out. LaSorsa comes in and gets the job done to end the top of the 5th inning, but not before the Chatham Anglers tack on 3 runs and lead this ball game 4-0. You're listening to Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Bottom of the fifth inning from White House Field. It is a 4-0 Anglers lead. Austin Rooney alongside Thomas Inzarella. Glad you've decided to spend your Tuesday evening with us as the Harwich Mariners look to get back into this ball game. The 8-hitter Brian Dempsey, who's 1 for 1 on the evening, steps in. First pitch on the outside corner for strike one. We discussed how he finished his season at Boston College really nicely. He went to the Cal Ripken League, played well there, and has now been promoted to the Cape Cod League. The 0-1 pitch swung on, a chopper right over towards shortstop. Fielded by Jones. He'll throw to first, and there's one away.
With one out here in the bottom of the fifth inning, we'll take a look around the league, and Katuitt tied Wareham today 4-4. That game is finished, of course. No lights in Lowell Park. 3-1 Broad Braves lead over the Highest Harbor Hawks in the bottom of the seventh. The Brewster Whitecaps are trailing the Falmouth Commodores on the top of the seventh, 8-1. And then at Orleans, a 1-0 YD lead on the top of the third.
And the first pitch clips the outside corner on the 9-hitter, Ramon Garza. The count 0-1. 0-1 delivery, swung on and fouled off the catcher, McCann, and he's not feeling great. I believe that pitch came up, or the foul ball came up and hit him in the mask. And he threw off the helmet and the mask immediately, walking around and clearly in some discomfort. As the Chatham Anglers trainer and head coach Tom Holliday is coming out to have a discussion, and McCann says, well, I'm able to stay in tonight's ball game. I'm all right.
And sometimes, too, you know, when I'm not sure if that pitch hit the dirt, but sometimes when you make contact like that, some dirt can get in your eyes, and it's just annoying as heck. That would look like it might have come right off him. You know, sometimes it's, especially those style of masks, it can sometimes clip it.
The 0-2 pitch from English. Breaking ball misses in the count 1-2. You mentioned the scoreboard update just a moment ago. And a lot of teams now have their spot in the playoff not only clinched, but it's iced exactly where they're going to be. As the 1-2 delivery, check swing, they say Garza goes around, and there are 2 outs in the bottom of the fifth. For example, the Mariners are set in stone at that 3 spot. The Anglers will be at the 2 spot, and at the number 1 team in the East Division is YD. So the Mariners will be playing these same Anglers this weekend, but I'm more referring to that 4 and 5 matchup in the East, because there are 4 teams that make the playoffs from each division. As the first pitch to the leadoff hitter Ben Norman misses low for ball 1, and the 4 and 5 teams, whether it's going to be Brewster at that 4 spot or if it's going to be Orleans. And Brewster earlier this season appeared like they were not going to have any shot at making the playoffs as the 1-0 pitch is swung on and chopped over towards second base, fielded by Arenas. He'll toss the first, and that'll do it. But despite the fact that Brewster appeared like they may be out of it earlier, they have stormed back in a big way. And now the Brewster Whitecaps are actually in a playoff spot over the Orleans Firebirds. We'll talk about all this and more after the break, but we'll step aside. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Top of the 6th inning from White House Field, a 4-0 Anglers lead over the Harwich Mariners. Austin Rooney alongside Thomas Inzarella. Glad to have you with us this evening. And we were talking just before the end of the inning about how the Orleans Firebirds and Brewster Whitecaps are battling for control of that 4 and 5 spot in the East Division.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's a big matchup going on down there. Big battle. And yesterday, Orleans could have overtaken that 4 spot, but because Brewster lost in Katuah yesterday, but Orleans blew a 5-run lead that they had in Hyannis, and Hyannis ended up winning that game 11-9. A lot of offense in that game, included 20 hits.
As the first pitch to Jorge Arenas, the 8-hitter, is swung on and missed. Count 0-1. The 8, 9, and 1 hitters due up Arenas, Ramirez, and Sabol. And we were mentioning how the Harwich Mariners are going to play the Chatham Anglers as the 0-1 pitch is on the outside corner and the count 0-2. Now, the Mariners are yet to beat the Anglers, so these next couple of matchups, or this matchup tonight, is very important. And then the 2 games versus Brewster as the 0-2 delivery misses outside, count 1-2. Those will also be big for confidence because it's always important to be red hot going into the playoffs.
That confidence is a big key whenever you're doing.
1-2 pitch swung on, a broken bat over towards shortstop. Fielded by Garza, who'll throw over to first, is in time, and there's one away in the top of the 6th.
Yeah, just saws off the nice Chatham blue wooden bat. That thing literally cracked in half from the top to the bottom, almost. I mean, that thing was just shattered. That means I don't even know how you do that after it went off the edge of the barrel or something. I mean, I don't know how you actually do that. Most of the broken bats, obviously, they break in the middle.
Well, there's one away nonetheless as the first pitch misses upstairs and inside. I haven't seen many things like that where it's basically sliced right from the top to the bottom like that.
So I'm thinking like you have to do it off the edge of the barrel or something.
1-0 pitch swung on, a very high chopper over towards second, fielded by Dempsey, and he throws over to first. It's in time to get the 9-hitter Ramirez. So a quick 2 up and 2 down from Joe Lasorsa. Lasorsa's looked outstanding in his first inning and a third. Now going back to the starting pitcher in tonight's ball game, Will Matheson. He was held to just 2 innings of work tonight. And knowing that the playoffs are starting on Saturday with Ricky DeVito and the following games on Sunday, it is possible, I'd think, that have Matheson go 2 innings and then you're probably looking at him Sunday. As the first pitch is swung on and fouled back to the screen behind home plate, count 0-1 on Blake Sabol.
Yeah, the Mariners coaching staff will have some decisions to make of who they want to go. They also have Portimani. Portimani's been following DeVito in that rotation. We'll see if he gets the call. A lot of guys they can go to.
0-1 delivery is swung on and fouled off down the right field side. Count 0-2. I'm not sure if Portimani may get another opportunity before the playoffs, but you had to think Matheson, this will be his last time before the playoffs. And having only gone 2 innings, it is possible that after 5 days from now on Sunday, he'll get an opportunity to go again as the 0-2 pitch misses upstairs to Sabol on the count 1-2. The only thing we have confirmation on is DeVito. He's going to be going Saturday as the 1-2 pitch is swung on. A slow ground ball over towards third, fielded by Schunkel. Throw to first. It's in time. A 1-2-3 inning work from Joe Lasorsa. He looked great doing it. And at the end of 1 2/3 inning, at the end of 5.5, it's a 4-0 Anglers lead. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Bottom of the 6th inning from White House Field. A 4-0 Anglers lead over the Harwich Mariners. It's the 2, 3, and 4 hitters due up for the Harwich Mariners as they look to get back into this game. And Tristan English is out there for his 6th inning of work. He has been outstanding through 5, allowed 5 hits, no walks, and he's kept these Mariners bats at bay as the first pitch is swung on and fouled off to the backstop from the right-handed hitter Aaron Shunk. Count 0-1. If you would like, you can check out the most recent edition of Mariners Monday. It's with Aaron Shunk as we get to know him a little bit better as the 0-1 delivery misses upstairs in the count, 1 ball and 1 strike. Talked about a lot of things regarding his high school going into college, and the 1-1 pitch miss is swung on and fouled, all count 1-2. Talked about playing in a couple of state championships back in high school. Here at his time in Harwich, what he's looking to work on. Talked also about growing up being a Braves fan as the 1-2 pitch is swung on and missed, and there's one away in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Of course, being a Braves fan, he was actually able to hit BP out at SunTrust Park, the new Braves stadium down there in Atlanta.
He said as a third baseman, he's modeling his game after Cooper Jones, as that was just there's one away now in the bottom of the 6th inning. Swung on a high chopper over towards first base, fielding and throwing over to first is in time.
Nice, a couple high choppers here that have just been nicely fielded. I mean, especially on these fields, they can take a numerous amount of hops and skips and can go anywhere. And so far, it's even both teams dealing with it pretty well.
First pitch on the outside corner to Nate Eichhoff. Count 0-1, swung on a high pop-up down third base line, going back to Shunk and talking about his fandom of Chipper Jones, and he said back in his early days, talking about how he used to go out and hit balls out in the Little League and think of himself as Chipper Jones, and now he's playing here on Cape Cod as the 0-2 pitch is swung on and fouled off, and meanwhile Chipper Jones getting inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, why not to model yourself after a Hall of Famer in Chipper Jones? Definitely part of that, really got in towards that dynasty of the Braves in the 90s. And he was just unbelievable on that Braves team. A switch hitter as well, power on both sides of the plate.
And the 0-2 pitch misses upstairs to Eichhoff in the count 1-2.
And that's the one thing you don't see a lot anymore is switch hitters. You know, it's almost like a lost art in a way. There's not as many of guys switch hitting anymore.
And the 1-2 delivery, breaking ball. Tristan English thought it was strike 3, and, well, he was actually walking off the mound. He thought it was the end of the 6th inning, but it's called back as it was called the ball inside. As the 2-2 pitch swung on, a line drive towards left field. Coming in and making the catch is Blake Sable to end the bottom of the 6th inning. That will do it at the end of 6. It is a 4-0 Anglers lead as Tristan English continues to dominate on the mound for the Chatham Anglers. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
Back inside White House Field for the top half of the 7th inning. 2-3-4 headers set to do battle against the left-hander Joe LaSorsa, who is pitched an inning of 2/3 scoreless so far. First pitch to Greg Jones is a big swing and a miss as he loses his balance and runs across home plate for strike one.
And Joe LaSorsa has been outstanding tonight. We mentioned the last 2 times out he's struggled, but tonight it has been nearly perfect from Joe LaSorsa.
As the 0-1 pitch is fouled over towards the on-deck circle, count is 0-2. 0-2 curveball inside corner, strike 3 call. Greg Jones can't believe and looks back towards the plate umpire Joe Peters, but it's in there for the first out here in the 7th inning.
I said nearly perfect. No, you may as well say he's totally perfect. 2 innings of work, no hits, no walks, 2 strikeouts from the left-handed pitcher.
And this is the Joe LaSorsa we've seen a lot this year. We've seen, the good and the bad, quite a frequent amount. As the first pitch runs just a bit too inside on Michael Bush for ball 1.
Well, we saw him, of course, work as part of the no-hitter in the doubleheader game earlier this season. And then, we also see games where he goes, an inning of work and allows 3 or 4 runs. So we've seen both ends of that spectrum from someone like Joe LaSorsa.
1-0 pitch on the outside corner for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike on Bush. 1-1 pitch is a big swing and a miss as a foul stepped in the mid of Logan Driscoll. Count is now 1 ball and 2 strikes. Bush, who since July 20th has 16 total bases, which is 9 more than the closest Chatham Angler, as the 1-2 pitch is rolled over towards the Anglers bullpen. He is also 6 for 14 with 3 homers, a double, and 4 runs scored. We talk about the power that's in this lineup. Here's a guy you got to talk about as the 1-2 fastball runs up in the zone for ball 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes is the count on the first baseman. In this evening's ball game, he has a walk, a double, and a RBI single, including a run. As once more the 2-2 pitch is rolled over this time over towards the Anglers dugout. Nobody on, 1 out here at the top of the 7th. 4-0 Anglers lead over the Harwich Mariners. Mariners still looking to pick up their first win against this Chatham team this year. 0-5 coming in. I mentioned before, these 2 teams will face off in the playoffs. 2-2 fastball on the outside half of the plate, and back-to-back punch-outs looking as how Joe LaSorsa starts out the 7th inning here, and his strikeout number 3 in just 2 1/3 innings.
Yeah, and he's doing it against the meat of this Chatham order. Started off with a 2-hitter, Greg Jones, gets a strikeout there, and then strikes out the red-hot Michael Bush, who was 2 for 2 with a walk, reached base all 3 times, then gets him looking too.
First pitch to the right fielder Torkelson's on the outside half plate for strike 1, 0-1. Torkelson, who's done a lot of the heavy lifting today. Him and Bush have combined for all 4 runs. As the 0-1 pitch is once more at the knees for strike 2. No balls and 2 strikes on Torkelson. His last time out, he had a sacrifice fly in the 5th. He had an RBI double in the 3rd to put the Anglers on the board and give them the 1-0 lead. It was a 3-run 5th inning, and that has been the difference. And the 0-2 pitch misses according to home plate umpire. And Logan Driscoll and Joe LaSorsa were walking off, and Torkelson had a bat on his shoulder, but now have another opportunity here. Count is 1-2.
Looked like he had struck out the side with 3 strikeouts looking.
And the 1-2 pitch is cut on a miss by Torkelson, and out of he was pretty irate. He slams the bat on the ground. So LaSorsa strikeouts the side. You can say maybe an extra strike he had to throw to get it, but after the top half of the 7th inning.
And now I guess you've seen it back-to-back half innings now. Back in the bottom of the 6th inning, Tristan English thought he had strike 3. He was walking off the mound, and then this time around on the top of the 7th, Joe LaSorsa has the same thing.
So into the 7th inning stretch is a 4-0 Anglers lead over the Harwich Mariners. Listen to Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Bottom of the 7th inning from White House Field. It is a 4-0 Angers lead as Tristan English's evening is done. He was pretty much unable to be touched. 6 innings, 5 hits, no runs, no earned, no walks, and 5 punch-outs. And he now cedes the game to Jeff Belge, the left-hander southpaw out of St. John's. So 2 southpaws out of St. John's are on for both sides. Lasorsa pitching for Harwich, and now Belge for the Chatham Anglers. First pitch to Logan Driscoll was fouled back and out of play for strike 1. Logan Driscoll has one of the 5 hits for the Mariners. Each side has 5 hits, but it's the run column that is different, and Chatham up 4-0. Lefty-lefty matchup. The 0-1 pitch is a hard chop ground ball over towards the first baseman Bush. He'll take it himself, and Driscoll is retired for the first out here in the home half of the 7th inning.
Yeah, Jeff Belge has been one of the workhorses for the Chatham Anglers. He's pitched 33 2/3 innings of work, and he's got a 3.48 ERA. He's, again, one of these guys that the Chatham Anglers heavily rely upon. He's only allowed 13 innings in those 33 innings. 13 runs, I beg your pardon, in the 33 innings.
So as now the designated hitter in this evening's ball game, Danny Casals, who takes a first pitch fastball on the inside half of the plate for strike 1.
And we know there is one thing that Belge has struggled with so far this year.
As the 0-1 pitch is swung on and hammered out towards left field, going back to the track is Sable, and it is over the fence for a home run. And the Harwich Mariners are on the board, and thanks to a Danny Casals solo jack here in the home half of the 7th inning, his 3rd on this Cape League season. And his bat continues to stay red hot in this game as he now moves 2 for 3, as the Mariners now only trail 4-1 in this ball game.
That's a pitch left out over the heart of the plate, and Danny Casals destroys that ball out towards left field. You knew it right off the crack of the bat. It was going to be out of here. And the Mariners find themselves on the board, and it's great to see from Danny Casals. As we were mentioning earlier, he was in an ice-cold spot about 3 or 4 days ago. He only had 1 hit in the last week or so. And he comes on, he gets a base hit versus YD on Sunday. Has a base hit here to lead things off in the game, and then adds a solo home run. And he's starting to really turn things around to the plate. And he's giving the Mariners some life in the bottom of the 7th.
First 2 fastball misses inside on Johnny Stan, the right fielder out of Southern New Hampshire. And now might give the Mariners something going on here. They have a run on the board now, and now it only trail 4-1 as the 2-0 fastball runs up in the zone. 3-0 the count now.
And right what I was discussing when Danny Casals interrupted me with his home run, what I was telling him was what I was saying is that Belge has struggled with his control this year as he now walks Stanton. And he has 19 walks over the course of 34 innings, which is over a half a walk per inning, which is an issue. And it's what a lot of MLB teams now look at. You know, if you're walking over a half batter per inning, that's worrisome. You know, you want to be at that quarter of a walk per inning if you're highly regarded as an MLB prospect.
So now after Stan is able to earn a walk here, there is still 1 out in the inning. 4-1, Angers lead. Stan stands over on first base. It is now Brian Dempsey, the second baseman out of Boston College, who takes a first pitch fastball for strike 1 on the outside black. No balls, 1 strike to count. Dempsey, who was also 1 for 2. Just as Casals was before he hit his home run. Dempsey singled in the 3rd inning and then grounded out in the 5th. A 1 curveball just misses the inside corner for ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike on the smooth swinging second baseman. Belge comes set from the stretch. The lefty-righty matchup. 1-1 pitch misses inside as dancing out of the way is Dempsey.
And Belge has thrown 6 of the last 7 pitches for balls, and I think to an extent he's lost the zone.
The 2-1 offering. Big swing and a miss from Dempsey as Canavan's back up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. If you're Dempsey here, you just can't do too much with it. You just gotta try to put a ball in play. We know Casals has that power bat. Showed it off earlier in this inning. Mariners needs to get a couple base runners here can really make it interesting. 2-2 pitches, cut on a miss for strike 3 as Dempsey goes down swinging. And there are now 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Very nicely done by Belge to recover after he'd fallen behind in the count 2-1. And he struggled with his control. He works back in the count with Dempsey and ends up getting a strikeout.
And is now the shortstop out of Cornell, Ramon Garza. Garza, I mentioned before, out of Cornell. Both his brothers played at Georgetown. Of course, his eldest brother, Mike, who is an assistant coach for the Harwich Mariners, played a couple years in the Brewers organization and an independent league. First pitch misses for ball one on Garza. And Mike Garza, his eldest brother, played for the Harwich Mariners on that 2011 championship team. So it's a family affair here for the Garza family as the 1-0 pitch is cut on a miss, 1 ball and 1 strike. So still standing over at first base is Stanton after he earned a walk. The 1-1 pitch is a little flare out towards shortstop. The shortstop, Jones, comes in to make the grab to end the 7th inning, but the 7th inning is highlighted by the loud bang off the bat of Danny Casales' bat as he puts the Mariners on the board here in the bottom of the 7th. 4-1 Anglers lead. It's to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Top half of the 8th inning from White House Field between the Harwich Mariners and the Chatham Anglers as the Anglers lead 4-1. Danny Casales put the Mariners on the board with that solo home run over the left field fence. And new pitcher on the mound for the Mariners is George Kirby out of Elon. Kirby, a native of Rye, New York, making his 10th appearance. He owns an 0-1 record with a .64 ERA. He has 2 saves on the year. Pitched 11 innings, 12 hits, 2 runs, 2 of them earned, 1 walk, and 21 punch-outs in just 11 innings. First pitch fastball on the outside edge to Colin Simpson, the DH, for strike 1. Simpson so far is 1 for 3. Has a single back in the 5th. 0-1 pitch is a wave and a miss for strike 2. Count is no balls and 2 strikes on the DH out of Oklahoma State. Nobody on, nobody out here in the top of the 8th. 4-1 Anglers lead. Righty lefty matchup. The 0-2 fastball is fouled out of play. Again behind the press box area. Count remains no balls and 2 strikes. And we know Kirby has that overpowering fastball and he has that devastating curveball. It is a deadly mix.
Yeah, and Kirby's been outstanding recently. He has not allowed a single earned run since July 10th.
0-2 pitch, curveball, outside edge just comes in a bit too high. Count is 1-2 as he tried the backdoor curveball.
And he may be a very important piece for the Harwich Mariners moving forward into the playoffs. Somebody the Mariners very well will need versus these same anglers on this weekend.
1-2 curveball is cut on and miss. Simpson swings at that pitch that is out of the zone on the outer half of the plate as Kirby picks up his first out in this outing by the way of the strikeout. We mentioned before, 21 punch outs in just 11 innings. He has that good swing and a miss stuff, and he's just flashing it right now as Simpson goes down swinging. As now with one out, it is the center fielder John Rave out of Illinois State in the Missouri Valley Conference. First pitch he sees fastball is cut on and missed. And he's now throwing back-to-back fastballs to start things off for strikes as Rave swung and missed at that one. Now we'll be surprised if the next batter, and Kyle McCann might try the curveball as the 0-1 pitch is just looped out towards shallow left field. Coming in is left fielder Eichhoff. Calls off the shortstop Garza. He'll make the catch for the second out. So we mentioned Kirby. You mentioned Kirby might be an important piece, and we've seen the way how the playoffs in the Major League have gone, where it's been more of a bullpenning type of game. And that's what we might see here on the Cape Cod, where guys are on pitch counts and only go 3, 4, 5 innings at most, or 6 at most, which is quite rare to see a guy on the Cape go 6 innings. Yet we saw Garrett Stallings earlier in the year go all 3 of his starts 6 innings. You have to be very efficient attack guys. Guys swinging helps get some guys can help you out by swinging early in the counts. As the first pitch is right down the middle for strike one to the catcher Kyle McCann.
That's right, and the Harwich Mariners are doing a nice job resting their pitchers they're going to be using this weekend.
0-1 curveball is cut on and missed by McCann. He's in the hole now, no balls and 2 strikes.
As now the starter on Saturday, Ricky DeVito, will have over a week rest before going. So I would not be at all surprised to see someone like DeVito go 6+ innings.
0-2 pitch is cut on and missed, and McCann goes down on strikes as Kirby strikes out 2 of the 3 hitters he faces here in the 8th inning after 7.5. It is a 4-1 Anglers lead over the Harwich Mariners. This is the Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Back inside White House Field for the latter half of the 8th inning. George Kirby worked an outstanding top half of this inning. Struck out 2 of the 3 anglers he faced. As it is now the top of the order for the Mariners, look to try to cut into this 3-run deficit. As the first pitch runs high and tight from Jeff Belge on Ben Norman for ball 1. Norman so far is 1 for 3 with that single in the back on the bottom of the first inning. Belge gave up the solo shot to Casals, who worked out of the inning after a walk issued to Stanton. As the 1-0 curveball just doesn't quite bite enough into the zone. Count is 2-0. Norman digs back out and will step back in now.
Well, that home run in the last inning from Casals means something.
As a 2-0 pitch is right down the middle off the belt for strike one.
Because it puts the Mariners on the board and gives them an opportunity in the 8th and 9th inning to make a comeback. If the Mariners are able to put up a run in the bottom of the 8th, they'll only be down 2 headed into the 9th, and that's a lead the Mariners could overcome.
As a 2-1 fastball is cut on and missed by Norman. Count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. So Norman will try to choke up on the bat a little bit, shorten his swing, and try to put a ball in play with 2 strikes on him. The 2-2 from Belge. Fastball outside corner. And Norman goes down looking as Belge picks up a strikeout here. He struck out Dempsey last inning and now picks up another one here. That's his second.
Very well done by Belge as he fell behind in the count. 2 balls and no strikes on Ben Norman and works himself back even and ends up striking out Ben Norman.
We've seen it a couple times where Belge fall behind the count, able to work back. It is now the 2-hitter, the third baseman, Aaron Shunk, takes a first pitch fastball high and outside for ball 1. Shunk so far 1 for 3. Again, 6 hits for the Mariners. They out-hit the Anglers 6-5 as of right now, but trail 4-1 as the 1-0 fastball almost comes inside and hits Shunk as he bounces out of the way. Count is 2-0. Shunk will dig towards that back end of the right-hander's batter's box. Lefty-righty matchup with the 2-0 pitch is cut on and popped up and out of play for strike 1. Over towards the hill on the first base side. Count is 2-1. Always a good showing here at White House Field when Chatham comes into town. It's a healthy crowd tonight. Definitely one of more of the populated this season as the 2-1 curveball again doesn't come down enough. Misses high above the letters. Count is 3 balls and 1 strike. So Shunk looks to get aboard here to start the Mariners rally as they trail 3 runs. 3-1 pitch fastball up and out of the zone is cut on and missed. Count runs full on Shunk.
Yet another example of Belge, who's behind the count, works it back full now, and we'll have to see what pitch he looks to go with versus Shunk.
The 3-2 from the windup from Belge is lofted out towards right field, going foul. And the right fielder, Torkelson, can't quite track it down. Had a long way to run down there towards the corner, towards the 330 sign. So count remains at 3 balls and 2 strikes. 1 out, nobody on in the bottom of the 8th inning. It's been a rather quick game as of right now. Game started about 2 hours ago at 6:30, and we're already almost into the 9th inning here at the bottom of the 8th. So being very deliberate as the 3-2 pitch is clubbed out towards left field. The left fielder Sable going back just shy of the warning track as he tracks that one down for the second out. As Aaron Shunk just missed that one, maybe by an inch on the barrel, and will fly out towards left field.
Yeah, I'd say a lot less than even an inch. I think it's just a couple of millimeters there. That ball's probably traveling a significantly further distance, and he hit that ball very, very well. I thought off the bat it may have a shot at getting out of here, but nice job by the left fielder Sable tracking that ball down. Maybe they had a couple of shallower ballparks on Cape Cod. They may have had a shot, but it was only a deep fly out here at White House Field.
First pitch to Andre Lipsius is at the knees for strike 1. Working quickly is Belge as the 0-1 curveball misses for ball 1. Count is now 1 ball and 1 strike on Lipsius. Lipsius so far is 0 for 3 with 2 punch outs. Looks to reach base for the first time in this ball game as 1-1 pitch runs inside for ball 2. 2 balls and 1 strike is the count. Lipsius went 0 for 4 back in YD, so was 0 for 7 his last 7 at-bats. The 2-1 inside corner and misses. 3-1 is the count now. We've seen Belge fall behind these counts, but he's always come back in both 2 hitters that he's seen so far. 3-1 Lipsius. Curveball inside half again. He mounts another comeback against Lipsius. Count runs full.
That was awfully close, just getting the benefit of the doubt on a curveball on the inside corner.
The payoff pitch with 2 outs as the 3-2 is fouled off the mitt of the catcher McCann.
And Belge does have 1 walk. It was in the last inning As the Harwich Mariners, though, not been able to work a walk in the bottom of the 8th.
3-2 pitch. Ellipsius is flown out towards straightaway center field. The center fielder Rave coming in a couple steps. Will make the catch for the 3rd out. So 3 up, 3 down here in the bottom of the 8th inning. The Mariners bats go down quietly as Jeff Bell works a scoreless 8th inning. After 8, it is a 4-1 Anglers lead of the Harwich Mariners. Listen to Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
Mariners baseball is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Expert physicians, quality hospitals, superior care. Curry College. For more information, visit www.curry.edu. And Chatham Bars Inn, a proud member of leading hotels of the world.
Back inside White House Field for the top of the 9th inning. 4-1 Anglers lead of the Harwich Mariners. It is the 8-9-1 hitters to face off against the ever-dangerous George Kirby. He's been lights out in his first inning work, struck out 2 Anglers there as he attacks Arenas with a first pitch fastball. That one had a little extra mustard on that one as Arenas swung right through that one. I would have to say that one might have been probably towards 96, maybe even higher than that. I mean, that had some extra heat as the 0-1 pitch is up on the zone as Arenas shows bunt, but pulls it back.
And Kirby's so effective. He's been outstanding back at Elon this past season, and he comes into Cape Cod, and his role changed from being that number 2 starter at Elon behind Kyle Branovich into a relief role, and he's come into this role and he's adjusted very nicely, and he's been able to, really work at getting ahead in these counts and using that fastball and curveball effectively.
1-1 pitch has popped up and out of play over towards the Anglers bench area. Behind that, count as 1 ball and 2 strikes, and just trying to be versatile any way you can, from whether it's rotation or the bullpen setup man, long relief man, mid relief man. We saw with Tom Sutera, and he said, whatever you need me to do, I can do, and that's exactly what he did as the 1-2 curveball almost gets the inside corner as Arenas turned and started right at him and then almost finished on that inside corner. But it misses for ball 2, so 2 balls and 2 strikes on the second baseman out of Stetson. The 2-2 offering from the windup. Fastball upstairs, tipped in the middle of Logan Driscoll, and Arenas goes down on strikes for the first time this evening as 3 of the last 4 hitters that Kirby has faced have gone down on strikes, all of them swinging as well. So that strikeout to inning total just continues to climb here for George Kirby as there's now 1 out here in the top of the 9th.
He came into tonight's game 21 strikeouts in 11 innings, and as you mentioned, a couple in the last inning and 1 more to start the top of the 9th.
First pitch to Ben Ramirez is grounded in the hole towards shortstop. A strong throw from the shortstop, Garza, able to retire Ben Ramirez on the backhanded play. 2 up, 2 down for Kirby here in the 9th inning.
And the pitching ever since Kleins came out of the game, not against him, but still the Mariners pitching staff has been outstanding the last 4 and a third innings of work. It has been a total of 13 up and 13 down, along with 7 strikeouts.
No hits, no walks, no anything, just everybody's been retired on this Chatham lineup, and it's been fun to watch as top of the order comes back around. Blake Sable will do his work from left side. Real lefty matchup. The first pitch fastball clips the outside edge for strike one.
And we talked about how we've seen a couple of different types of Joe LaSorsa. We've seen Kirby. He's mostly found success. He struggled a little bit earlier in the season, but these two guys have come into tonight's game and been lights out. You'd have to think come this weekend when the Mariners are going to need relief pitchers, that these guys are some of the first guys you're going to turn to because they have shown it versus Chatham. They've been able to get the job done.
One pitch misses above the letters for ball one. 1 ball and 1 strike as the Woolern fastball misses well up and out of the zone. The count heads to 2 balls and 1 strikes on Sable. Sable coming in was raking against the Mariners, batting almost close to 500 against this squad as the 2-1 pitch is lined hard towards the second baseman. Jump throw in the air from Dempsey. Goes just wide of the first baseman, Lipsius. He has to come off the bag. Would have been a spectacular play. It's a hard play to make that jump throw. You got to be very accurate and have a lot of arm strength, and Dempsey almost making that one look easy.
And that ends the streak of 13 consecutive retired batters by the Harwich Mariners pitching staff. And it's a tough play for Dempsey to make. He's going towards the second base bag, tries to throw across the body. He may have had an extra half a second where he could have possibly tried to plant to an extent and have a better angle to throw over towards first base. It was going to be a tough play, though, because Sable runs well.
We mentioned the speed on this Anglers team. Sable's now off at first base. Definitely a threat to steal. And the man at the plate, Greg Jones, has a lot of wheels as well. Almost beat out a bunt. Well, force of error is the first pitch. Sable's going down to second base. The throw from Logan Driscoll is in time. And Sable is throwing out, trying to steal second base on the first pitch. And that's how the top of the 9th inning will end. So Sable's thrown out by the catcher, Logan Driscoll, as the Mariners will have their last chances here in the bottom half of the 9th inning. Anglers lead 4-1 over the Harwich Mariners. Listen to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Bottom of the 9th inning from White House Field. Mariners trail 3 runs by a score of 4-1 over the Chatham Anglers. New pitcher on the mound is Kyle Hurt out of USC. Hurt owns a 3.63 ERA in 22 1/3 innings pitched.
And he's kept the walks generally to a minimum. He's allowed 9 walks in those 22 1/3 innings and allowed 18 hits as well. So generally he's kept the base running numbers down and has allowed 12 runs, just 9 earned in those 22 innings.
First pitch from Ned Eichhoff misses down the zone for ball 1. Eichhoff, Driscoll, Casal set to do work first. The 1-0 pitch to Eichhoff, grounded right back up the alley, or the valley up the middle for a base hit. Eichhoff is aboard. to start things off, and that's exactly what you want to happen if you're Coach Angler on this Mariners squad. Get the leadoff man on, and things can happen.
And all of a sudden, the on-deck man, Danny Casals, who homered earlier in tonight's contest, represents the tying run.
We mentioned before, the Mariners have almost had hit. That is now 7 hits for the Mariners compared to the Anglers 6. They've out-hit the Anglers tonight, but the Anglers lead in the run column 4-1. First pitch to Logan Driscoll is a big swing and a miss for strike 1.
And the Mariners have to avoid, or looking to avoid at least, the season sweep versus Chatham, as they're yet to beat either the Anglers, and they did not beat YD all year long.
0-1 slider misses inside for ball 1 to the catcher, Logan Driscoll.
Mariners were 0-6 versus YD, and they're at risk of going 0-6 versus Chatham. And this is why it's so important going into the postseason. If they can pick up a win tonight and a comeback win, it would be huge for their confidence moving into the playoffs, having beaten a team like Chatham.
1-1 pitch once more, runs low and inside for ball 2.
And not only beating a team like Chatham, but they were able to come back and beat them in this sort of a fashion.
2 balls and 1 strike is the count, nobody out. Eichhoff over at first base as Her will toss over. Eichhoff is back in standing up. 4-1 Anglers lead. You mentioned before, Casals on deck. 2-1 count on the catcher, Driscoll. Here comes set, he kicks and fires. The 2-1 pitch is high up in the air towards right field. Torkelson going back just at the warning track in front of the 47 brand sign out in right field is Torkelson, who makes the catch. And Driscoll, he has a lot of power, but just got onto that one just a tad too much.
Yeah, this is back over at Veterans Field. That's a home run, and just a little bit unlucky for the Harwich Mariners deep in this ball game, as that ball could have been a 2-run home run. It would have put the Mariners back within 1. They're not done yet, though.
First pitch to Danny Casals runs off the plate for ball 1. You just wonder if the wind was blowing out tonight as well. It's not blowing out tonight. In the past couple home games it has. As the 1-0 pitch is lined right at the left fielder, Sable, who makes the catch and will throw it back in towards the shortstop, Greg Jones. So we've seen Casals tonight. You look, he's only 2 for 4, but I mean, he had the fly out to right field, which is a hard hit ball, and now a line out / fly out, whatever you want to call it, towards the left fielder, Sable. He's hit the ball hard tonight.
He has. That was a very hard hit line drive out towards left field. I thought off the bat that he may have a shot to get back in that and get possibly a base hit, maybe extra bases, but it was right at the left fielder, Sable. If that's to right center or any other part of the ballpark, it's a double. So again, Casals is hitting the ball hard. I think he's got back to what he was doing earlier in the season when he was getting a lot of base hits, and it's great to see him get back to that.
1 pitch to Stanton misses off the plate for ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike is the count.
So we were mentioning earlier, he had just 1 hit in the last week, and now comes back with 2 hits tonight. He had 1 hit on Sunday versus YD.
1-1 fastball on the outside edge for strike 2. 1 balls and 2 strikes is the count as the Mariners are down to their final strike. Righty matchup. Eichhoff still off at first. The 1-2 to Stanton as a ground ball up towards the middle, towards the second baseman. He flips on to the shortstop, Greg Jones. And that will do it for us in the bottom of the 9th inning as the leadoff man Eichhoff gets on a couple hard hit balls, and things just didn't go the Mariners' way in this ball game as they're defeated by the Anglers by a score of 4-1, and they're now 0-6 against the Anglers, now finish 0-12 against the Anglers and the YD Red Sox. It's been a tough couple games. I mean, you go back to a few games back at home when the Mariners lost to the Red Sox. They out-hit the Red Sox, lose 8-5. They out-hit them 12-10. Then they go to today's ball game. It's a very similar ball game. The Anglers, they win 4-1, but the Harwich Mariners out-hit the opposition yet again. It's almost a repeat of what happened early in the season where the Mariners were out-hitting opponents. They just couldn't get all the hits in 1 inning as the Anglers did.
That's right. The Mariners had the hits. You mentioned it. The Mariners out-hitting the Anglers 7-6, and the Mariners, they got hits from all over that lineup. It was, almost everybody got a hit in tonight's game, aside from Lipsius, Stanton, and Garza. Everybody else had at least 1. Casals had a couple of base hits, and the Mariners' offense was producing, which is a good thing to see. But unfortunately, as you mentioned, they just couldn't get multiple hits at once. They never really were threatening in terms of getting a lot of runners in scoring position, and usually it was a lone single here and a lone single there, and that was about it. Another thing that hurt the Mariners tonight is that they only had one walk. Jeff Belledge was the only one who walked a batter at all. Tristan English did not have a single walk. Kyle Hurt came into the game late in the ball game, and he didn't walk anybody either. So, you could be getting 7 hits, but if you're not drawing any walks, then it's not really coming through in that end either. So again, the Mariners were not really getting enough base runners with the hits alone, and they weren't able to get many walks. So again, that's going to be awfully tough, and if they're only going to be getting lone singles, it's going to be awfully tough to score a bunch of runs.
You talk about the walk total. You got to tip your hat to Tristan English. He's a guy that typically doesn't walk a lot of guys. Only a small sample this year in the Cape League, but in 5 2/3 coming in, he only walked one guy. So he was great at that, and he really kept even they got the 5 hits, he kept the Mariners bats at bay and was awfully tough on this Mariners lineup. As we got to talk about the bullpen as well. Coming out was La Sorsa, and then George Kirby pitched an excellent game. They pitched combined for 4 2/3 innings, only 1 hit allowed, 7 punch outs. And I think Kleins as well, he at times he showed some flashes of greatness, and he'll be charged with majority of all the runs in this evening's ball game. But again, his first appearance on the Cape, it started off pretty good, and unfortunate for him, it ended up not so good. But again, it's the bullpen will be big coming down in the stretch towards the postseason.
Yeah, so I think he sort of had to break it down inning by inning for Kleins. In the 3rd inning, he came in, top of the 3rd, he allowed a single run. 4th inning, he looked great. And then in the 5th inning, he ran into some trouble. He walked the first 2 batters, and he sort of put himself behind the 8 ball at that point. There were the bases loaded. They had a couple more base hits. And all of a sudden, the Mariners were down 4-0. And you mentioned the other 2 guys who came in, Joe La Sorsa followed by George Kirby, and that was nothing short of outstanding. La Sorsa comes in, he goes 2 2/3 innings, and it's 8 up and 8 down. And you can't ask for anything else from your pitcher. He does not allow a single base runner. He strikes out 4 in the process, and he came in with runners on 1st and 2nd in the top of the 5th inning, and no one comes around to score. So, again, it's very impressive what we saw out of Joe La Sorsa tonight. I'm not sure if we'll see Joe La Sorsa go again before the end of the season. I sort of doubt it, seeing that he went 2 2/3 tonight. But I'd have to think that on Saturday or Sunday, that Joe La Sorsa will be one of the more favorable options for the Harwich Mariners.
Yeah, you talk about the bullpen again. La Sorsa faced 8 guys, as you mentioned before, 8 up, 8 down. He struck out half of them. Kirby faces 6 batters, strikes out 3 of them. So, I mean, the high strikeout totals continue. And it was fun to watch as the Mariners will try to finish the season strong. They'll have a home-and-home game, or series if you want to call it, against the Brewster Whitecaps. And it's a big game for the Whitecaps as well. That game will be 4 o'clock tomorrow. Again, 4 o'clock. Pre-game show will start around 3:45 as the
playoff implications are getting quite close now. So there is one game that is final tonight, the important game regarding playoff information in the 4 and 5 spot between Brewster and Orleans. Falmouth Commodores defeat the Brewster Whitecaps 10-2. Now, back at Eldridge Park, it's a 2-0 lead for the YD Red Sox over the Orleans Firebirds, because right now, if these scores hold, or of course the Brewster game now final, if Orleans is unable to come back tonight, Brewster will lead Orleans by 1 point with 2 games to go. Now, this is, of course, very important because the Mariners, as you mentioned, are playing Brewster in the final 2 games of the season. So, if the Brewster Whitecaps, if the Mariners end up sweeping the Whitecaps, that could have huge playoff implications for whether the Brewster Whitecaps make the playoffs or the Orleans Firebirds. So, in a way, I guess, the Mariners could sort of play spoiler, even though, their role is a little bit more than spoiler, as they'll be a playoff team too.
Yeah, the Mariners can definitely, burst the bubble for the Whitecaps, as the Firebirds also, they have to play their final 2 games against this Chatham Anglers team. So it should be interesting because Orleans is 3-1 against Chatham this year, but final 2 games of the season, it should be interesting to see what will happen towards the end of this playoff race. And
And also, it's important to know, you mentioned Orleans taking on Chatham. Chatham, similar to Harwich, does not have anything necessarily to play for. So they may be mixing up the rotation. They may be mixing up the defense, the batting lineup, because, again, they're the second team in the East Division no matter what. So they may be sort of mixing guys in and mixing guys out, which may give Orleans a little bit of a better shot, given that they're really fighting for something, and Chatham isn't.
So we'll see how it all plays out. We'll keep you updated throughout the rest of this regular season. Again, we're in Brewster tomorrow. Game at 4 o'clock. That is a scheduled change. Usually it's 5 o'clock, but since the days are getting shorter, we got to start earlier. It's 4 o'clock start time, 3:45 or 3:50. The pregame show, and then the final game of the regular season, right back here at White House Field on Thursday, August 2nd, as the game will start at 6:30. So that'll do for us in the broadcast booth from White House Field. As my broadcast partner, Austin Rooney, I'm Thomas Zinzarella. As the Harwich Mariners fall to the Chatham Anglers by a score of 4-1. We'll see you tomorrow in Brewster. That'll do it for us.